Hello. Voters in Ghana yesterday re-elected the National Democratic Congress presidential candidate, former President John Mahama. He defeated the ruling party's candidate, the New Patriotic Party's vice president, Muhammadu Bawumia. Even before the Electoral Commission in Ghana announced the final results, Mr. Bawumia made his concession speech. It is 5:30 p.m. in Accra, Ghana, 6:30 p.m. in Lagos, Nigeria, 12:30 p.m. in New York City. Wherever in the world you're joining us, welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes Africa. My name is Rudolf Okonkwo. My co-host, Chido Onoma, is on assignment. On our show today is Dr. Haruna Goroh. Most of you know him, but if you don't, here is a profile.
One man of God who has refused to stay silent in the face of bad governance and economic hardship. Using his many talents, he speaks, sings, exhorts, and motivates both leaders and followers to do better. His name is Dr. Haruna Goroh, a multi-talented individual renowned for his expertise in leadership, motivational speaking, and life coaching. Born on February 28, 1956, in Shadalafia, Kaduna State, he has served as the pastor of Greater Love Ministries since 1994. A graduate of Ahmadu Bello University with a BA in Industrial Design, Dr. Haruna expresses his creativity through his music. His song End Bad Governance calls out the Tinubu administration in the wake of the End Bad Governance protests, which rocked the nation in August and led to arbitrary arrests and imprisonment of minors for treason. The song calls out Tinubu's harsh policies and asks God to punish him. Always one to make his stand clear, Dr. Haruna publicly declared support for Peter Obi in the 2023 Nigerian elections and Donald Trump in the 2024 US elections. In May, he predicted Trump's victory after his conviction, which he described as a witch hunt, and criticized Simon Ekpa's activities during the Nigerian elections, highlighting their impact on Peter Obi's chances. Dr. Haruna has been married to Mrs. Titilayo for 40 years, and together they have 3 children. He continues his apostolic work in Windhoek, Namibia, where he lives and leads his ministry.
All right, Dr. Haruna, well, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. And how are you, Dr. Rudolf?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome to the show. We are happy to have you again on the show.
Yeah, it's great to, be on your show. You're doing a great work. I don't know how you cope, how you manage. You seem to know everything about the world.
No. We try, Thank you so much. The last time we had you on the show, there's been an election in America, election in Ghana yesterday. Interestingly, in America, what happened was that Donald Trump was reelected. He defeated the vice president, Harris. In Ghana yesterday, the same thing happened. The vice president of Ghana lost to the former president, John Mahama. So let me get your take on what happened. Let's start with America. What happened in America? You predicted that you wanted Trump to win. Why?
I think just looking at a lot that has happened, this close to 4 years of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and it was basically like a coup. They just chopped out the old man. They put him there, and then suddenly it's like they chopped him broad daylight. The old man, Opa, kept saying, no, I would do it. I would do it. And just overnight, the things change. So sometimes we think that democracy, sometimes I call it demons are crazy. It's like we think it's Africa that has not gotten it right. But I think even the ones that started this thing till now, they haven't gotten it because it's not really a system of governance. It's the heart of the people that run the system. So when you have people that have other sinister agendas and reasons, Anybody that's not playing their game or who will, help keep, their secret, and if I know that I have a plan for the future and you're coming to disrupt my plans, even though I put you there, I remove you. So I saw what was happening, that it was the Democrats, they fought, they shot themselves in the foot. And so by taking this man out in just about, a few months to the election was the biggest mistake. So he was already on his way to losing. It was obvious, because what they were using, all these things going after Donald Trump, the moment you do that against somebody, even if people hated him, you draw sympathy. So the whole world had, they were sympathizing. I mean, what? They called him a terrorist, they called him, Hitler. So people are asking themselves, I mean, but he ruled America for 4 years. We didn't see the Hitler. So you see, Hitler just resurrected now. So Americans, what they were going after was Donald Trump, but Americans forgot that. They were concerned about butter, food on the table, the economy. And then with the invasion of the aliens, I mean, a nation, if the nation has no borders, then there's no nation. And if anybody can just come in at will. So I don't think that, so America was really on a steep decline. And so they just decided they were going to save their nation. And that's why it was a landslide victory. And most times when you see mainstream media siding somebody, then go the opposite way, because it's all about what the special interest. So that's my take. So some people said, "Oh, but you sounded like a prophet." I said, "No, I'm just smart." I can read in between. People say, "But he called us African shithole or Nigerian shithole." I said, "Yes, in a way, it's because of the way we have behaved. But I think now we are smart enough to know nobody's going to use our color or our race against us, because I don't eat my color. My color does not pay my bill." And so when people start saying because you're black, you must be Democrat or you must support Kamala Harris, but she kept flip-flopping. There was no clear vision. And so that's why Americans showed to the whole world that they wanted change. And Donald Trump seemed to be the man. And that's why I'm very excited, because Dr. Rudolph, whatever happens in America, when Americans sneeze, the whole world will be in big trouble. That's why we see wars everywhere now.
So looking at January 20, which is when Trump will take over, what do you expect him to do or not to do in Africa? What changes are you looking forward to?
I think our problem is waiting for the West. We are not. When will they look forward to when a Nigerian president is coming and the whole world is waiting and see, we want this man to come in because he will bring transformation or he will change the world around? Why must it be we going there, and paying homage to them? Meanwhile, they are depending on us. They can't survive without us. But then, so me, I'm not really, yes, I know that Donald Trump will, the way he thinks right now, from the lessons he has learned from his first term, I believe he's not going to surround himself with the swamp that he did before. And the same people were the ones that they turned around and beat him. And by extension, they also destroyed America. So I believe that especially when it comes to foreign policy, that a lot of things will change. It will be playing according to the rules, not playing outside the rules. Because if the playing field is made claim for somebody, everybody has a right to play and play according to the rules. I believe Africa stands a chance to benefit even more if we're allowed to play according to the rules, not with sinister agendas that they come just to, look like they're giving us aid, but they're using it to destroy us or pull us down or steal our resources. So I think that, and especially looking at people like Elon Musk that are around him, and that's why you can see now there's a big fight, and almost everyone that Donald Trump is bringing as the one that will be in his cabinet, they are fighting him. So you ask yourself, what are they seeing? There must be something. Maybe they have hidden things in their cupboards, so they are all scared. But I think I kind of foresee a different world. Some people feel I'm too optimistic, but because Donald Trump is not a politician, he's not coming to look for money. He's coming to just, kind of change the rules of let the game play according to the rules. So then let's see the people that have the skill and the stamina, the tenacity, and the will, they'll turn out as the winners. So I see Africa winning.
One of the things that people can say for sure that Trump will not do is show a lot of interest in Africa. And people think it's a good thing that he's not going to be involved where the Democrats and candidates for the Democrats have always been involved in Africa. But he has also another side to that. So, for instance, what the French government is doing, and we see the relationship between France, what they are developing with the current Nigerian president, Tinubu. There won't be anybody. Trump will not pay attention or care. And we know that a lot of people in Nigeria are concerned about how close our government is going towards the French. Don't you think that will be a problem if we don't have anybody to have an interest in what is going on?
Well, Dr. Rudolf, I think this may be a blessing in disguise. If every time I need a big brother to come and save me, I may never face the enemy. David had to face Goliath. When professionals, well-trained military men in the army were running away, ducking and hiding for their lives. But David had courage. He took the bull by the horn, and that's how he brought the giant. So to bring our giant, we may need to have America's or the big powers sometimes just step aside and let us, because when you find yourself in the lion's den, somehow your brain starts to work. And it goes on overdrive, and you think about ways you can save yourself. If America will always have to come and salvage us, or the West will have to salvage us anytime we go through anything, especially talking about the France, what's happening as we're seeing our Francophone countries standing up for themselves. I think Nigeria will need to also do likewise. If we don't learn to stand for ourselves, I know it's dangerous. It could be, we know Torre, how many attempts have been against his life because of his stand. But we need such people. So we need to be given an opportunity to take a stand. But you see, talking about Tinubu, we already know Tinubu will always go the side that will help perpetuate his sinister agenda. And so it's not because he's going there because he wants the peace or wants the prosperity of Nigeria. So it's up to Nigerians to stand for themselves and not wait for Trump. Because our prosperity should not depend on who is in the State House, in the White House. It should be dependent on Nigerians. We must know, because we have more, without, fear of contradiction or somebody feeling that I'm overstating the facts here, I can tell you Nigerians, wherever they go, whether they are doctors, they are nurses, they are engineers, they are pastors, they are business people, they are always on top. Even Donald Trump himself has said, go to Houston and see Nigerians. So if we have such brains, then we are able to turn our country and even turn Africa around. But it's because we have the wrong people that are leading us. People who just have brains, but who has brains, but as if it's cutting wool in the brains. So if we can just get ourselves act together and start to do what is right for us, I can tell you we may even be the ones that America will need to come and look for guidance from.
Okay, before we get into issues in Nigeria, let me get you a view on what's going on in the Middle East. Israel is still fighting in Gaza, and Hezbollah, there is a relative peace that is not yet strong, shaky. In Syria, we saw what happened in the last 2 days. I think the president Assad is out of the country. I think the rebels have taken over. So when you look at the Middle East, especially, I want to get your opinion on what Israel did in Gaza. What do you think about their approach to Hamas and the people of Gaza? before we talk about the greater Middle East situation?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit, people have different views and opinions. And from my own angle, I would say that, this whole thing was instigated, even though we know that there's always been conflict. But let's get back to Donald Trump. You notice that the time that Donald Trump was president, he was able to get those people together. And he did it. They had such tact and diplomacy or wisdom that he was able to do it. So I think the provocation, or with what happened in October last year, that gave birth to this current ongoing war, which I think some people don't mind it going because of what they gain from it. But I would say that I kind of feel optimistic that come January, the moment Donald Trump takes over power, because already we start seeing changes, that I believe things are going to change. I see Israel as, they're doing everything to defend themselves, because it's like, who wants to defend Israel? Apart from maybe America, and you talk about because of America's stand with NATO generally. So, and you know how many nations are standing against Israel. So Israel is a nation that it's kind of difficult to explain how anybody that engages them. So when you take side, whether you're on the side of the Palestine or Israel, or you're talking about Hamas and what they are doing, you see people that build the whole setting or system on the basis of protecting a religion. It's difficult to fight such a war. The people will always be divided. They think they are fighting for a God, and they're doing everything to protect that belief that they have. So that's why the war is kind of difficult to be able to explain, or where do we go from here? Except for me, I'll just say we'll wait and see. Especially, I feel that with Donald Trump coming in, things will change.
The Amnesty International this week announced that there are reports that Israel, or they called it genocide, committing genocide in Gaza. That added to what other organizations, including the Pope in Rome, calling what's going on in Gaza genocide. What do you call it?
Well, I think any war, any war that spans or goes that goes this long, and the no side is giving in, at some point you will find such elements of something like genocide. And genocide is kind of relative. When you say genocide, is it that they just went on a killing spree, killing people, innocent people? But you see, when the whole blackmail that goes with war is that I can use innocent civilians, children, hospitals, schools, worship centers, use them, people that are not armed, that are not in the war front, and use them as human shields. And then when those people die in the process, when the bombing, or when a notice being given that there's going to be an attack coming social direction, people should evacuate, or people should leave the place, and people they go and tell them not to leave, and then Israel is doing everything to protect themselves, and at the end they end up killing civilians, not because they intended to, and then the whole world starts to stand against Israel as genocide. But the question is that, why not also see genocide from the other side? So I'm not saying this because I'm siding with Israel, but you see, if we can go back to where it all began, these people came, and what they did against Israel was a genocide. So I think what we need now is to be able to get to a place where they will agree for a complete ceasefire, and then go into talks that will bring some relative peace in the Middle East. I'm on the opinion that for Palestine and Israel, they need to coexist instead of one chasing the other for the other. So because this kind of war, or this kind of clashes, will never end. I was in Israel a few years back, and just seeing how they live. These are people like our brothers. It's almost like you can't even see the difference. Here, yes, you look, and Israel is completely different. It's affluent. All you see is affluence. And then the other side is abject poverty because of the way. And I wasn't happy to see that. So I believe when there is peace and these people are allowed to live side by side, because you see, I was watching the people from the other side throwing stones into Israel continuous. And so, and then the Israelites, you see the army for protecting. So it just keeps on going on and it's difficult. So all these Amnesty or other people, civil rights organizations, they always come out and speak, but sometimes you could see that they are not, it's like they're speaking from two sides of their mouth. Because if you're concerned about innocent people, you should be concerned about innocent people wherever they are. So such people, how many of them do you hear them speak about Boko Haram again? Are they talking about the Chibok girls that have been abducted? Are they talking about all the kidnappings going on in Nigeria, the insecurity? So the people have special interests, and they always, you hear them talking more about where they have interest.
We'll get to Nigeria, but one more question. Nigerians, Africans are easy. You can easily find them to talking about what's happening in the Middle East. But places in Africa, there are crises. Example is since Sudan. We don't tend to talk about that. Why is it that we are not concerned about what is happening in Africa the way we are concerned about what's happening in the Middle East? Do you care about Sudan?
Yes, I care, but you see, not a lot is spoken about Sudan as mainstream media is pushed down our throat. Every other second, you turn on mainstream media, you don't hear about Sudan because there are people gaining and benefiting from what is going on in Sudan. Just like, again, I touched on Nigeria, that what's happening in the north of Nigeria, you don't hear much about it. You don't hear them talk about it in mainstream media because there's no special interest. So wherever there's interest, that's where people will be talking about. So if there's interest in Sudan, where as long as the war continues, somebody's going to benefit. So you will not hear much about it. Or when there's the clash going on. So even what happened in Rwanda some years ago, how much did you hear? We didn't hear much in mainstream media. So they always, as anything that has to do with Africa, let them kill themselves. So we come and go back and take over.
I wanted to know if the Sudan's situation, is it because most of the people in Sudan are Muslims, or most of the victims are Muslims, that we are not paying attention to that or caring? I'm talking about us, Africans. I'm not talking about the West and the big media of the world. Is that the reason?
No, I think Africans, when you look at nations and their involvement in either among themselves, first of all, let's look at immigration within Africa. Africans are not connected at all. And that's why we are all sovereign nations, and everybody, you fare for yourself. Whatever you're going through a challenge, that's your own cup of tea. So there's that thing of the Africans generally are not their brother's keepers. So you'll find out that if there is something going on in Nigeria, that's Nigeria's problem. Something happening in Sierra Leone, that's Sierra Leone's problem. So now we are talking, so we're talking about Sudan, talking about other nations. So people, generally Africans feel like we've got bigger problems. And our nations, we are struggling with this. So we don't care what is happening. Even if something was to be happening in Niger, that is close to Nigeria, you hardly hear other African nations talk about how do we go save the other nation. They're more concerned about struggling to survive. And so the survival mode is preoccupied Africans that they don't have time to even think about what's happening next door.
Okay. When we scheduled you, we wanted you to talk about the North and Bola Tinubu's tax bill. But there is a bigger story, wider story taking place in Nigeria today, and which is the case of Dele Farotimi and Baba Lola. What do you know about that case? What do you think about what's going on?
Yeah, I've been following and I've done a few videos regarding what's going on. I think looking at the current system and what's going on, in Nigeria, and the history of how the elections all went, and seeing where Dele, what he's been saying since then. So I actually felt that this whole thing is very late. I thought they were going to do it earlier, because he was one of the, most fearless Nigerian activists that happens to be a lawyer, because he didn't mince any words. He spoke it as is, spoke the truth on all matters. And the guilty are always afraid. And especially with his book and everything that he exposed and revealed there. So they wanted to use so-called, the powers that they have to come after him. So I've spoken about this, and I said Nigerians will have to stand, because he spoke for Nigerians, put his life, his neck on the chopping board, and they went after him. And it's jungle justice. We saw it during the election, after the election, and the tribunals, the courts, and how the whole system in Nigeria is a kangaroo system. So I believe that until Nigerians stand out in unity to say he must be released, if not, this thing, they will go after more people. I mean, I don't want to sound controversial, but why will a court, same court, so the judicial system say that somebody like Nnamdi Kanu should be released? Until now, he's behind bars. So you can't expect such a system to work in a nation where they say we're upholding the rule of law, and yet the same court will say this, then and they will take it to another court. And so it all depends. To me, it's like the highest bidder is the one that, gets justice, so-called justice. So right now, they're doing that, so they are not just trying to go after him, but they want to use that to go after other people like Dele Faro to me. I mean, what has he said? What has he done? If it's a lie, somebody like Babalola should know. He is a senior advocate. His age and his experience, he should know. Very simple. Go to court, present your facts, not send the police to go and harass somebody. That to me was not just a normal arrest. That was adoption.
Do you say that they are you implying that the government has something to do with this?
What happens in Nigeria that government doesn't have a hand? We shouldn't talk as if we're deceived. When they said let the poor breathe, we knew what they meant. So and I don't want to look like what are the facts that you have. Even if I have facts, like they had facts during the time tribunal, and they brought all those boxes. Did they check the boxes? They just use technicality. I either tell you came late, I'd cook up a bill or something, a new law that says what you're saying is inciting violence. So, I mean, we don't need to see the face of Tinubu or see the face of the one that is directly in charge of, the security apparatus before we know. I mean, where did the people come from? Is he staying in somebody's house? Is he not behind bars? Is he not in police custody? So who are they acting for? Is there no government that they answer to? Can any policeman just come and arrest you in New York or where? I know you're in New York. Will they just come and invade your privacy? They follow the due process, the law. But Nigeria, it's almost like there's no law. The law depends on what you want, and then you send people. If they want you, they will just send people after you and cook up the story, whatever is the problem or whatever they have as the accusation against you. That will be brought later, but they will arrest you first.
Last month, I saw Peter Obi at Yale University. He gave a talk there. And one of the questions he was asked was about 2027 election.
Yeah.
Whether he will go back and run under the same laws, the same judge, the same judiciary, the same structure. He didn't answer that. What do you think should be the approach of the opposition?
Okay, for me, the fact that Mahmoud Yakubu is still the chairman of INEC. I don't know if I would advise him to go and run. Tinubu could do what he did. He said, Emi Lokon, it's my turn. You saw how angry he was against Buhari when they wanted to snatch the thing from him from the backside and give it to the Senate president that time. He charged like a python. And so when the North realized this man is going to spill the beans, so they gave it to him, even when he did Muslim ticket, what has never happened. You would think that is a ticket that is dead on arrival. But because the power brokers knew what they were doing, so they gave it to him. And Tinubu is a strategist. And if he had that strategy along with the arrangement with Buhari for him to take over the reign in 2023, are we so dumb or are we so naive to think he doesn't already have a plan for 2027? And then now, that time it was Buhari. Now he is the incumbent. He is the president, the commander-in-chief. And then we are thinking that Peter Obi will just come and will sit somebody like Tinubu. He has to change his strategy. And it cannot be business as usual with the current, Labour Party that we're seeing that are fighting themselves. It has become like a baby party. So it's either I will advise him to start his own party, and because people like Abure will not help him going forward, that's my personal opinion. And Peter Obi will need to change strategy and start working now, because Tinubu has already gone into 2027. And he's surrounding himself with the people to enable it. Boala that said Tinubu can never change. It's almost like in the next millennium. Where is he now? And I don't know whether Okonkwo is going to join now, but people are leaving. So we shouldn't, I've always said this. I said, listen, the handwriting is obviously clear. Politicians, when they go in there, they have an agenda. Most of them are not thinking about Nigeria. They are thinking about enriching themselves. So Nigerians are the only ones that will salvage Nigeria. Not even Peter Obi. Peter Obi just happened to be the person then that Nigerians saw that seemed to have the pedigree, seemed to have the kind of, let me say, when you look back at his record, he's not a corruptible person, never been corrupt. And apart from that, people like myself, even though I'm from Kaduna State, from the north, but I just felt, what is this deception, this lie about we are one Nigeria, if we don't believe that Southeasterners can produce a president? And we still want to think about maybe the power should go back to the north after Tinubu or somewhere else. And we still have any right-thinking Nigerian that cannot see that, wait, even the weakest Southeasterner, at least just for the sake of, can we try them? We said Nigeria is one, but we are saying it with the mouth, but in reality, we have completely ostracized people from the Southeast where Peter Obi comes from. And then we are now still lying to ourselves that we are one Nigeria. I supported Peter Obi because of his track record and because he's from the Southeast. If the Southeast are able to produce somebody, with the kind of record that Peter Obi has, I will support. But I think we need to look beyond an individual and look about how do we build a Nigeria with a collective will to make sure we are not building on the basis of personal interest, but corporate interest. So I think going forward, Peter Obi will need to change his strategy, if at all he's thinking about coming in there. Because Tinubu, we know Tinubu, he is already planning. And so if he could grab this thing and run with it when he was outside, when he wasn't president, when he was not in Aso Rock, he is now holding it. How would he release it? He was to come and grab and run. But now he's holding it. Then you think you can take it away from him. He's not Jonathan to let go like that.
So do you think that Peter Obi's strategy should be what appears to be what is happening now, bringing the whole opposition together as one. You saw him meet with Atiku Abubakar. Is that the kind of strategy you are talking about?
Yeah, I think that we need to look at that, because another thing I think I want to say here is that if politicians really are serious and they want to be sincere with Nigerians, and this goes beyond even just Nigeria, wherever they are, and if they can lay aside personal interests and think about the interests of the people they claim they are coming to serve, then there's nothing wrong in people coming together and saying, can we check your manifesto? What's your plan? What is your plan? And bring the things that unite them for the common good of unseating a government that is completely bringing Nigeria down, running it down the cliff. And so to go forward, how did they unseat Jonathan? There was a teaming up. But when people come together and everybody wants to be commander-in-chief, it's not possible. Somebody has to let go. Atiku has run several times and has not made it. So how many more runs does he need? What's his name? Kwankwaso said he can never be running mate to Peter Obi. But how many votes did he get? But can you imagine if they had allowed Peter Obi to run and Atiku had surrendered and given Peter Obi the chance? Put those votes, even though we know number 3, the one that came number 3 is now commander-in-chief. But imagine, let's even take, because the court ruled that he is the president, so we go by that. I can't be sitting here and saying Tinubu is not the president, because we are talking because he's the president over Nigeria. So, but let's even look at it and say, okay, Peter Obi came 3rd. But get the votes of Peter Obi, put them together with Atiku and Kwankwaso, it would have been a landslide defeat against APC, such that there's no way you grab that you can run with it. Even if you grab, they will deal with you there. You won't run. So I think going forward, they need to change their strategy. This thing of everybody wanting to be president will again empower APC.
Right. We will take a break. When we come back, we will talk about the Bola Tinubu's tax bill and the opposition from the north. And we will continue the conversation. We're going to bring our audience to join us after that. Also, down the road, we have Omoyele Sowore joining us to talk about what's going on with Bele Farotimi and the protest being organized across Nigeria on Tuesday. So let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello, everyone out there. I trust you're all doing fine. By now, you must have heard the new music that I released titled The Revolution Call. This is the time that we must all get together and take our nation back from these political scavengers. Please go ahead and share this song with as many people as you can. Thank you for watching.
Is ready for a revolution. So much crying and mourning and gnashing of teeth. People suffering and dying in the land of plenty. Singing out, we need a revolution to birth a new nation. United as one people to stop this. We need a revolution. We need a revolution to birth a new nation, united as one people to stop this revolution. Evil. I say living in a nation blessed with plenty. Why should there be so many living in penury? Our nation deserves better leaders than these political scavengers running our nation down the cliff, full of trickery, full of bribery, not for forgery, masters of perjury. I say political charlatans full of greed, watching their people daily greed, while they waste our nation's treasures on their pleasure. So much crying and mourning and gnashing of teeth. People suffering and dying in the land of
damages.
We need a revolution to a new nation.
The 90 minutes show. The 90 minutes show.
We need a revolution. We need a revolution to birth a new nation. United as one people to stop this evil. Revolution, let's come together from north to south and east to west and challenge this illegitimate government holding to our mandate. They were not voted by the people. In broad daylight, they snatched our votes and ran away. The promise real-time transmission, but use the Electoral Commission to subvert the will of the people. We cried out for justice and they told us to go to court, but they denied us justice in the name of technicality, corruption.
Hello, citizens. This is the time to lay aside our differences and unite as one people. From the north, south, east, and west. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your tribe. We must all come together and reclaim our nation back from these evil politicians. They do not have our interest at heart. They are only there for their own selfish interest. If we do not rise now and reclaim our nation from them, we will have no more nation left. So now is the time for a revolution.
We need a revolution to birth a new nation, united as one people to stop this evil. Now is the time. We need a revolution to birth a new nation, united as one people to stop this evil. We need a revolution to birth a new nation, united as one people to stop this evil. Enough of the bribery. We need a revolution to birth a new nation, united as one people to stop this evil. We need a revolution to birth a new nation. No more bribery. United as one. No more corruption. To stop this evil. Yeah. We need a revolution to birth a new nation. No more corruption. United as one people to stop. We need a revolution.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. We are having a conversation with Dr. Haruna Goroh. I watched that video again and I saw Godwin Emefiele carrying the Bible, walking out of the courtroom. When you see people like that in Nigeria, people who follow, who are religious, so to say, they carry the Bible, they recite the Quran, but their actions are the things that kept Nigeria where it is now. What do you, as a man of God, as a preacher, what do you say to your people who follow you, people who listen to you?
Well, I think, Dr. Rudolf, this thing is a problem of the heart. Jesus had 12 disciples, and the top, corrupt thief was his treasurer. So being in church or the mosque, being religious does not mean the heart is clean. So a lot of people are using the Bible as a cover-up. So that was what Emefiele did. Anytime people like Emefiele and the others, including some senators and people from the House of Red and most of the other politicians, anytime they steal money, They go and do Thanksgiving in church or in the mosque, build mosque, and feed Almajiris, and by so doing, Allah or God will have mercy upon them. And many people, because we got some so-called, and not everybody, you can't throw the same dirty water on everyone. However, the sad thing is that not too many, some people are in it for filthy lucre, for money. That's why the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. So you see somebody that stole election, somebody that bribed bribed the judges in the tribunal or in the Supreme Court, and to become a governor or go into the House of Rep or Senate or whichever position, and then they go for Thanksgiving in the church, and they buys a bus for the church, puts a new keyboard, sends the pastor to Dubai. So the pastor will pray a special prayer on the corrupt politician, and is given a special seat. So it's still around love of money. So love of money has nothing to do with politics. It's a heart issue. You have it in church, you have it in the mosque, you have it in politics.
Talking about church leaders, recently we had one of your, not your members, but one of the church, members as leaders of a branch of the Nigerian church, said that it was because of his prayers that made the naira not to have gone as decline in value as it is today, that it would have been something like I'm not sure the figure he gave, a lot of thousands. What is your take when you hear things like that from the pulpit?
Well, it's difficult to judge because he said his own prayer. So I say my prayers, Rudolf, you say your own prayer. I can tell you God answered this, that the rain came because I prayed. So maybe it could be so from what he's saying. We just pray that, God doesn't, when he answers prayer, doesn't answer halfway. If the naira can become 1-to-1, then to me, I would really say, I would see that as God really answered my prayer. But if God answered prayer when Buhari was living, it was 700 and something naira to a dollar. Many years ago, when people like myself were in university, the naira was stronger than the dollar. And so if now we have gone so low that it got to 700 and something naira during Buhari's time, and then, Emil Okon came and the thing took a nosedive, but then the prayer stopped it from reaching 2,000 or whatever thousands. I don't think people are suffering and dying of poverty, dying of hunger. That to me, I wouldn't see that as answered prayer. So to it, and it's relative. It's up to the man of God who said that. But I would say, let's see that prayer work in bringing the protection to lives of people in Plateau, all the abducted people. If God can show them, who are the people behind it and what should be done to salvage the problem we have in Nigeria, then isolating issues like the naira, okay, if I say, I've just prayed as a pastor and God answered my prayer, and that is why the thunder, the rain that came, the thunder only killed, 500 people, but the intended plan of Satan was to kill 5 million, but 5,000 died, and it's my prayer that stopped it. God stops something absolute, complete, not partial, because his salvation plan is to make sure nobody dies. So I think they may need to either extend the hours of prayer and more time so that God will answer more until the dollar becomes 1-to-1, or Nigeria becomes 1-to-1, or even becomes stronger because we have more resources than some of those nations that their currency is stronger than ours. So it's relative. We still hear a lot more. And I don't know who is the man of God that said that, and I don't want to go into that. However, you will still hear many more things. You remember how many people prophesied, about Buhari? Buhari will die before his tenure is over, and some said they will leave Nigeria if Tinubu becomes president, and now they are still there. So it's this thing. I think they say religion is the opium of the masses. So I'm a pastor, yes, but you see, I don't reason and I don't do ministry the way some people do, and I'm not condemning them. I'm just saying I'm different. I see ministry holistically. That God is not saying we should just be praying. We need to do something to help ourselves. That's why I speak about such things. Instead of just saying, let's pray and pray. Which God is it that is so, insensitive to the suffering of Nigerians? That for Nigerians it's like, no, I don't know other nations where that pray like Nigerians. But how come it's we that keep suffering? How come God only knows how to give us bad leaders? He answers our prayer in giving us Buhari. Then he answered our prayer by giving us, what's his name? Enilokon. You remember a pastor, a man of God, went to visit the Buhari when he was dying in the hospital and said their prayer that made Buhari not to die so we can suffer more.
I wanted to ask you if you think that we pray too much, considering what Peter B said, that we should have less of the night vigils and maybe do something productive. Do you feel that we pray too much? We hand too much over to God, even the things that we should do ourselves?
Okay. Rudolf, prayer can never be too much. But I think people don't understand that prayer goes with acting the word of God, because prayer actually should be talking, discussing with God, bringing issues. Like if I'm looking for wisdom, there are resources under the earth. I need to find out the village I'm in, the town I'm in. What are the resources there? How come the West, how come other people that don't pray, they can discover things? But we in prayer, we only discover who is going to be president next year. We're only discovering where there will be a plane crash. Why should our prayer only produce such? Why can't we discover cure for cancer? Why can't people pray and God shows them what to do when they're in school, what to study, and then come up? Because God is about helping humanity. We saw it right from creation. He put Adam not in a prayer meeting, but put him in a garden to tend it. And Nigeria is suffering today because people have run away from their farms. They can't farm because of insecurity. So why can't people pray and God show them where the hideout is of these kidnappers, this Boko Haram, and say this is the key? Let's have Christians or people of faith go into politics who have a clear vision and a goal of saying, pray for me, just like Esther said, I am going in there to see the king. But we want you people to fast and pray. And the thing produced result. So people saying they are praying all night, from what Peter Obi, he clarified it. He was not saying people should stop praying or close down the church and just, go to the factories. But he's saying, you notice that the missionaries that came to bring Christianity to us, their own nations are developed. They're not developed only in prayer. So prayer is good, but prayer should produce the strength to work, because God gave man the power to work, to earn a living. So we should not just, and you see, I think it's just leveraging on people's suffering, poverty. Poverty will make somebody sleep in church and believe that there's miracle money that will come and that the God of the breakthrough is coming. But some of the preachers that are preaching that and leading people in such prayers, they are having businesses. They are running businesses. But what they should then do, or we should all do, is start teaching our people how to live the complete living, not just one-sided. And God created us spirit, soul, and body. We shouldn't only develop our spirits at the expense of our souls and our bodies. We are holistic beings. We are triumph beings. We live in a natural material world with needs, with issues. So can we start using our prayer to produce good roads, safety everywhere, and where people start to bring invention? How can we turn Nigeria around? Not prayer for breakthrough and then the breakthrough is how I can go to the Senate or go to House of Rep and wear the Agbada and the Buban Riga only to steal money and go and be praying in tongues and give a fat offering to the pastor.
All right, let's get to the North. There is no doubt that they are not happy about how things are going with the current government. The first thing was the issue of the tax, Bola Tinubu's tax reforms. But last week, they added the issue of the French coming into Nigeria to exploit our minerals. They are worried about that. They are worried about the French coming in with their military. What is your take on how the North is reacting to this? You are from the North. You understand the North probably more than most of our viewers. Can you help us understand it?
Okay. Thank you, Rudolph. This shouldn't be a cry out only from the North. It should be the cry of all Nigerians, especially the latter one you talked about, with Tinubu inviting the French to come in and explore our minerals. Meanwhile, they are being chased out from our neighboring nations because of the way they have impoverished them. So isn't this a clear handwriting on the wall that Tinubu has a sinister agenda? How will Burkina Faso, Niger, and the others chasing these people away? Because we know what the France has done to the Francophone nations. Then we want to bring them in while others are chasing. Are we trying to say we are smarter than them? So I think this should not be a cry only from the North. The whole of all Nigerians should stand and refuse it. Because you know, Tinubu, his second home is Paris. So he has special interest there. Just like he has special interest in Lagos, because Lagos became almost like he patented Lagos. We're talking about tax, this thing, revenue. You know, Tinubu, what his Alpha Beta and his companies, what they receive daily from Lagos. So the plan is to bring, that's my own take, that any idea of bringing any nation, it doesn't matter which nation, that will come to explore. Is it that we cannot explore our own minerals? Why do we send our own students? Since the time I was in university, as far back as the 80s, we had people studying the rocks, studying petroleum, studying all those kind of things. What do we need from the West? And we have our people that have even studied there. Can't they use the expertise for us to explore our own? Why bring the French in? So it shouldn't be a cry only from the Northerners, but it should be the cry of all Nigerians. And then when we talk about the tax thing, you know, I have a lot of doubts and questions about it, because the issue is that people are suffering. People are hungry, just like it did with subsidy removal. The reason and the excuse was that, no, it's going to help the economy, but it has made matters worse. So for me, is that before they do anything, they shouldn't push anything until there is, you know, clear understanding, national dialogue. People should understand, what is this thing about? Is it going to benefit the whole nation, or is it a case of, you know, robbing Paul to pay Peter, or is it a case of, you know, oppressing and taxing the poor? If people are even unable to produce, you know, we don't have cotton again in northern Nigeria. We don't have the pyramids like we used to have, the groundnuts that we used to produce. There's insecurity where we used to have all the tomatoes, food coming from the north. It's not like before because of insecurity. So he promised to fix security. I would have thought that is where the attention should be, because a nation can never produce. And how do you tax people and expect revenue from people where there is no safety? Business is not secure. People are not even sure of whether they will live to see tomorrow. And you are fighting over reform. So you can only reform something that has a form. So let's check this thing. Does it really have a form? And if at all, what is going to come out of it? Who will benefit? Because if it's the same people that want to do it and they are corrupt, We haven't seen what they have done with the previous. Why reform something that does not even have a form? It's like an amoeba, and you're saying, I want to give it form.
People who speak for the government, they say that right now in the north, for instance, that minerals are being explored and exploited by Nigerians and their friends from China and other places illegally, and they are not reporting anything. So that the government is going to France to get the French government to come and take over that so that Nigeria can make revenues. How do you respond to that?
That to me has exposed Nigeria to the rest of the world, that we are defenseless, we are exposed, and that we are free for grab by all. If our neighboring nations are chasing the French away because of the way they have robbed them, and then we go and bring the ones that are discarded, that's actually a slap on the intelligence of every Nigerian. And it needs to be something we stand against every Nigerian from north, south, east, and west. Because why should they come and exploit and using the Chinese? The Chinese are the new colonial masters of Africa. Because a Chinese person will never, give you something for nothing. If he builds you a school, he's coming to take a city. And so I think Nigeria is the whole thing of hiding. They want to use that to steal more money. They said that people are exploring the minerals if they are Nigerians, but they bring in their friends. They have the law to be able to go after, what's his name, Dele Farotomi, but they don't know how to go after people that are going to explore the minerals. It's all lies. Many of them are benefiting from it, and that's why it never stops. So he's using that excuse to bring in the French because he has an interest in it. And before you realize it, the whole of Nigeria will become like Lagos, Tinubu's personal property, and the people he has surrounded himself with that are pushing this whole agenda. I'm not against any reform, but the question is it going to benefit Nigerians, not just Northerners? It must benefit every Nigerian, because this thing of separating North, South is what they have used to be robbing and stealing from Nigeria.
Now, in the case of taxes, you mentioned that the government people are saying that if you make less than 1 million naira a year, you don't have to pay taxes. That what they are trying to do is to encourage the states and people in different states to make more money, collect more taxes, and keep what they are collecting. And that they will lose in courts, that eventually when the Supreme Court rules on a case that is already there from Lagos and Rivers, that they will lose. And what it means is that the states will not even get any share. So you basically have to keep what you are getting from your state. What do you say to
that? Rudolf, this is, there's been a ticking time bomb in Nigeria. All this thing we're hearing from Biafra want to go, Oduduwa want to go, these people want to go, is still around this whole thing about the resources. God never made a mistake by putting resources in different places. And I believe even the North has oil and has other special minerals. But if we all depend on just one or two, Nigerians, since we got oil, we forgot agriculture. We forgot other minerals, and everything is just oil, oil, oil. So I think in a way, it could be a wake-up call for every region, every state, to discover what did God put under their soil? What potential do they have? Can they leverage that? Then depending on this national cake. And that's why you see people, bad governance is perpetuated because you don't need to take responsibility. It's still going to come from the others anyway. So, and meanwhile, the people are not doing much to develop our own North. See the insecurity in the North. We are known for agriculture, but our people can't go. You go to Southern Kaduna and see what's happening. Go to Plateau and see what is happening. We know what was happening, even what has been happening in even Benue State. And the areas where real agriculture is have completely been destroyed. So people are not going to the farm, but now you want them to to take care of themselves from whatever they generate. What will they generate in Maiduguri? What will they generate in Kebbi? So that's why they have to relook the whole thing before jumping and just saying, go and take care of yourself. They have to have a strategic plan how to do this, because if they cannot restore, I did industrial design, and specialty was textile. And in Kaduna that time, I did my attachment in Kaduna textile. It's closed down. Now everything has to be imported from abroad. Imagine if they go back and revive all those textiles, go back and revive cotton, go back and revive the groundnut and all the other special crops that are being farmed in northern Nigeria because of the way the weather is in northern Nigeria, is able to feed not only the rest of Nigeria, but the rest of West Africa, if not Africa. So I think they need to strategically, that's if they really mean it, Rudolf, because I suspect that it may be another thing to push Nigerians to be talking and get them diverted while they push in this thing, and before you realize it, they use it to steal again. Because Tinubu, Lagos is who? Is Tinubu. When you look at places like rivers, why do they have special interest in rivers and the politics of rivers? It's the same thing. So that's why I think we have bigger things they need to sort out. You can't have a thief that has stolen from your house and he wants to show you how to share what he stole.
All right. We're going to bring our people over to join this conversation, but I want to play one small video and get your take on that before we bring them in. This is El Rufai speaking somewhere in Nigeria. Let's watch.
I am from the northern states. For the past 30 years, we've been called educational disadvantage. Okay? We are giving lower cut-off scores to catch up. Have we caught up? It has only made people lazy. So, I'm sorry, madam. I'm sorry. I don't think we should hide behind fairness and say that everyone must be equal. The best we can do is to give people equal opportunity. Today, we live in a country in which, for federal government colleges, entrance exams, or JAMB, one state has a cutoff of X, and another state has a cutoff of 10 times X, and you say you are building a nation. You are not. You are creating bitterness from the grassroots.
So, what do you make of that, Dr. Haruna?
Yeah, I think this is the first time I'm agreeing with El Rufai. I've always suspected him of too many things. He's an intelligent person, but sometimes the way he uses his intelligence, I have a lot of doubt. But on this is very, very true. Because the idea of quota system, the idea of lowering the standard or lowering the rules to accommodate people is the reason why the North is the way it is today. So I agree with El Rufai that everybody should just have equal opportunity. But we cannot have equal opportunity in a place that is all messed up, where the system of governance is corrupt, there's no rule of law, and people are not playing according. In fact, they say they have a constitution, but everybody has constituted his own way of governance. And so I agree with him that the North, South, East, and West, we need to have equal opportunity. I am from the North. I don't need you to lower my pass mark. I went to university. I got second class upper. They didn't have to lower the pass mark for me to make it. I don't want to go for employment somewhere, because if you need to produce an aeroplane, you don't need to lower the standard. Who wants to fly a plane that is being manufactured or invented by somebody whose brain is not working correct because he's from the North? So I agree with him fully that We should have equal opportunity. If we call ourselves Nigerians, same passport, same same constitution, then everybody should play on the same. God created us and blessed all of us. He didn't bless Southerners and left Northerners as dumb people. You see them as dumb, not because they are dumb, but because the system, especially the religious system there, the way the feudal system has worked, is to keep them backward and to empower the few elites in the north. That's what's going on there. It's not because the brain of northerners is less than southerners. I'm very intelligent. I speak to people from the south, and I don't sound like I don't know what I'm saying. Just because you hear a northerner pronounce F as P does not mean that his brain is wired that way.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go to our members, people who are joining us from all over the world. We want to hear them. So when we call you, please stick to your question, just one question. Find the best of your questions and then ask our guest. If you have a comment, just make a comment, but let's make it under 2 minutes because we have a lot of people who are interested. All right, let's go to you, Comrade Sule. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Am I audible, please? Hello, thank you very much. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you for holding this very important live video or interview through which people of high importance are sharing their views and perspective pertaining to the problems or issues that have to do with our country, Nigeria. From the first time, I think it was last 3 months ago that I joined this session, which over 4 months ago. And gladly enough, today I come across your logo.
Sule is frozen. We will go back to him when
Dr.
Okay, continue, Sule. Go ahead.
Please, can I continue? Yeah. So I was very interested I was very interested in the topic that we are discussing because, as I can see, the topics are one, the abduction of one of the human rights activists, lawyers, and the second issue is the issue of tax reform bill, which I believe is one of the most trending topics on social media. So one, I will just say our leaders should fear God because it is not something proper constitutionally and even morally to be hunting people who are who are the voices of the people and hunting them whenever they are saying the truth, either on social media or on their profession. So before this very session, I actually did not know much about the person who was arrested, but after listening to Dr. Haruna Goroh, I was able to understand that the man is a kind of good person who has been standing for the people, for the oppressed Nigerians. So I got to know him through Dr. Haruna fully, and I went to social media to check on him. And by going to social media, I was able to learn that the man has been doing well to speak for the people of Nigeria, especially as of now that Nigerians are really going through a lot as a result of judicial banditry and a lot of issues, problems that are threatening the standard of people of this country. The second issue that I want to say something little about is the issue of tax reform bill. I'm very, very much interested to say a bit about this issue. This is because it is an issue that has to do with national interest. And based on what is happening, as we can all see, largely Northerners are not happy with the policy. So most of the people will be mistaken that the North are not happy with the policy because it will not protect their interests. I believe this could be the reason, but there are many reasons behind the reason. There are many reasons that made some northern people to disagree or to criticize this policy that the federal government want to implement. One of the reasons is that the federal government lost its legitimacy of that is governing the country, because we are all living witness how the current government and the immediate past government of President Buhari implemented a policy of different types, which have improvised different kind of difficulties in the lives of the people, like from the issue of border closure, from the issue of Naira redesign, ranging to the issue of fuel subsidy. All these policies are policies that have inflicted more hardship on the lives of the people of Nigeria. So I don't think there is any trust again between the citizens of this country and the government itself. Secondly, is when you carefully go through the bill, I think it will not actually favor the Northerners, as of course many have been saying, because the Northerners are more or less most of the industry or firms are headquartered or allocated in just 2 to 3 states, which is Lagos, Rivers State, and I think Osun or Ogun State. So we have over almost 36 states or more than 36 states, including FCT. So if you say that only these 2 or 3 states that will benefit more from the value-added tax revenue, it will not be actually fair, because Nigeria is a country which comprises different tribes, ethnic groups, and we have 3 regions. We have 36 states. So therefore, we have to take into consideration
Comrade,
the varieties of our differences.
Comrade,
And
round up so that we can get to other people. We have a lot of people who are waiting, so please round up.
okay. So my final take is that the government actually, if it really want to implement this policy, it has to implement it in the way that it will favor every individual or group of the people in this country. It shouldn't, the policy should not give priority to a particular state ahead of the other, because Nigeria, we are all the same, and the people have to be treated in the same manner. And I want to finally also thank to Senator Ali Ndume for standing to speak for the people, because this policy, if even if it happens to be implemented at the end, it will not even favor the said Lagos or Rivers State. We have seen this kind of policies in different occasions, and it ended up becoming a problem to the people and favoring the elite, the leading class. So that is my take on this issue.
All right, thank you, Comrade Sule. Dr. Haruna, you want to make a comment on what he said?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sule, Comrade Sule, for what you have said. I think I already said this before the team came in, that for me, it's not really what policy, what new reform they are bringing in, But whether, as he's rightly said, Nigerians don't think, they are kind of struggling with trusting these people and whatever they say they are doing for the interest of the people. Because from past, things they have done, they will say they are doing it for the interest of the people, but the people don't really get to benefit. And at the end, it's still the few that benefit. So, as I said, I hope it's not a scheme to empower Lagos more, and so that Tinubu's base will be empowered, or bringing the French and empower wherever in the north, but then they are also the ones benefiting from it. So I think it's really important that whatever they want to do, or the nation need to have a clear understanding of what is it. It must not be rushed and pushed down people's throat, take it or leave it. No, it must not be such a case. And as I said, it must not be a case of taxing the poor become poorer. Just like sometimes when you increase people's salaries, but you don't change what is going on ground, the ones, if you say today a loaf of bread should only cost so naira, but then you bring it down, but the person that is producing it, he bought it expensive, how is he going to make it? So I think they need to just look at it holistically, making sure there's no hidden agenda behind what they're saying is to interest Nigerians.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Haruna. Thank you, Comrade Sule. Let's go to Pansat, Ernest.
Thank you very much, Rudolf, fellow panelists, especially Dr. Haruna Goroh. I would like to acknowledge the presence of God, and we're asking him to guide this particular panel and the discussion, request for his wisdom and discernment, praying for the ability to make sound decisions as we go along. I'm asking all this in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Dr. Haruna, you are an example of what a human being should be. You're just, equitable, honest, upright, honorable, even-handed. I first encountered you when you came to Niger Watch, another platform where Nigerians gather. And you were above board. You respect our laws and you criticize where it's missing. And you're from the north. Now, on this platform, I berate Northerners, people who are from the north, because we're looking at it as a geographic expression, the north geographically. But in the north, you have a lot of outstanding people. Oh my God. You have Christians and Muslims. But you are a Nigerian, an African man, a black man. And that's probably what's guiding you as you criticize anything that comes in front of you, if it's doing the wrong thing. And you're able to survive in that place. But a lot of things you say, people can just watch and see what it is. They don't have to monitor it or scrutinize it or inspect it even. You are an upright citizen, and I want to take a portion of my time here. We don't have a lot of time here to go on forever, but I want to use it to say to you, maybe I'm not handing you some kind of trophy. I'm saying continue in what you're doing. You don't get any reward for it, but I want you to know that we do observe it. I'm a very big critic of whatever I see out there. But you are one person such as delivered to me. People who believe in the truth. So that's worth more than millions of dollars, billions of dollars. So I want you to keep going, knowing that we see you, we see what you're doing. Now, on a few of the topics that have come across here, I hope, Rudolf, how much time do I have so I know what to leave and what not to leave out?
1 minute. 1
minute. All right. Let me just say then in passing that a couple of things that were flashed on the screen. One of them is Rufai. Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna, and he's playing politics, right? So he's saying something we want to hear. Obviously, he wants to make some kind of political move. Nobody's saying there's no problem in the north where they're admitting to schools with less qualification and stuff like that. But nobody should be fooled. He's a pretender, right? He's an imposter. Those are part of the problems we have in that country. In the North, we know that a lot of the energy is stored in the potential form, not in the kinetic form that has movement. So I want people like you to be prominent and keep doing what you're doing, Dr. Haruna, and I hope that this thing comes around to me here. It's actually unfair to have an old man like me here. I'm probably the oldest guy in the panel. I cannot get a word in here. For the last guy that spoke before me, he went on and on. You know, I get a chance to speak. I wanted to talk about some of the geology he talked about, that may be oil in the North. There are a lot of things Dr. Haruna put on the table. We're going to talk about Dele Farah to me. Why are you getting me out of here so fast? Rudolf.
At the same time as Sule, so you may not know that, but you did the same time. And I'm not going to, we don't have enough to give everybody. I wish Haruna would stay here forever, but he has to go at a certain point too.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. All right, thank you. But if we get a second chance, I'll come back. If we get a second chance, I'll come back to you. Okay. Mr. James, go ahead. No, we can't hear you, Mr. James.
Can you hear me?
Okay, that's better.
Good. Thank you all very much for coming. Please, I would like to speak more than 2 minutes. When I exceed that time, just stop me. Personally, I believe that there is no more basis for the existence of the country because we've demonstrated beyond all reasonable doubt our inability to govern ourselves. Nigeria of the days of my youth is radically different from what we are experiencing now. And from the look of things, the country is already kaput. The country is dead. According to Zebediah, the country is dead, died. There's nothing wrong if a country happened to collapse. The Ottoman Empire was referred to as the sick man of Europe for a very long time. At the end of World War I, the empire collapsed and modern nation states in Eastern Europe emerged from the wreckage of that empire based on the 14 points agenda of Woodrow Wilson of the United States. Yugoslavia, during the days of Marshal Tito, was able to hold the country together, but eventually it collapsed. They went their separate ways. Czechoslovakia, Ethiopia, Sudan. So, it's already historical that empires rise and fall. Nations have come and gone. So Nigeria has come, it has made our mark, and if the center can no longer hold, there's nothing wrong if we happen to break up and go our separate ways. Because the way things are right now, we are making nuisance of ourselves before the whole world. You listen to what Rufai said. Rufai was telling you and me what we would like to hear, but what they discussed behind the scene is very different from what this man was saying. So, in fact, I need not waste too much time because there are other people waiting to ask you questions. As far as I'm concerned, Nigeria is gone forever. What we should be thinking of right now is post-Nigerian republics, because we should not find ourselves in the situation of Sudan. So this is the time for us to negotiate the middle belt. How will they live with the Northerners? The coastal minorities, how will they live with the people of the East? The Midwesterners, do they want to go back to the West or they want to stay on their own? This is the time to engage ourselves in this kind of discussions, because to fix the problems of modern Nigeria, in fact, generations of born cannot even handle it. So we are just living in a fool's paradise, thinking that manna will fall from heaven to fix the country. We are not making any tangible effort. We come here every day on so many platforms, ranting, talking grammar, and yet nothing is happening. Serious people, you see, I'm a teacher. Students who study diligently find it terribly difficult to pass exams. let alone those who did not study. So this is how I see it. Thank you very much, Mr. Haruna, for coming. I wish you well.
All right, thank you, Mr. James. Dr. Haruna, let me maybe can get a question out of what James was saying. There are people who feel that it's hopeless, that Nigeria is hopeless. You mentioned that you don't think that that P2B and others should continue to run for election if nothing changes in terms of the structure of the political system. What do you say to those people who are fed up?
Okay, thank you, Rudolf, and thank you, Mr. James, for your contribution. I have also, as a northerner from Kaduna State, I have also had cause to think that maybe this marriage is not working. Whosoever forced the marriage or organized the marriage. However, you also have to look at a marriage that, it looks like it's not working. Children have been born into this marriage that are innocent, that were not party to the initial arrangement or whatever, whether it was a forced marriage. Children are born and they have a destiny. There are people locked within what is called North. Some of them are from Benue, some are from Kaduna, are from, the Kogi, and even parts of Adamawa. So it's the problem of Nigeria. I'm telling you, we try to make it so big, but it's very few. I mean, just few states. And if I may say this, with also careful that not sound controversial to anyone here, but if you notice that it's few families, few states that have been the problem of Nigeria, and then the rest are suffering because it's as if we are scared to touch them, to say anything about them. Everybody just said North, North. North is not just North. North is not Sokoto, it's not Kano. North starts from Kwara. So my thing is that it's a heart issue where people think they are the only ones that are qualified to rule, especially when people use religion and tribalism. So let's look at the Southeast, for example. People from there are all Igbo speaking. But if you look at it, the heart of man still shows among the Southeasterners. You'll see somebody from the Southeast, they're still divided on the basis of which clan, which area they come from. So even when they have whatever is their own nation as Biafra, it will just be a matter of few years. They will also start fighting for separate states. That's not how we got to 36 states. Everybody always has his personal interest. So I think it's a disease of the heart. Human beings are basically selfish, and Nigerians have perpetuated corruption, and people have seen if you are upright and you play according to the rules, you will stay poor till you die. So the only way to do it is make sure you also grab for yourself and run. So it's not about dividing Nigeria and we go our separate ways, because while you are talking about dividing Nigeria, you're from the Southeast, somebody is going and meeting with the Northerner and saying, don't listen to that man from the Southeast. Who is he? We want to be together. So I think if we can just have a window and trust God Almighty to give us a leader that is not thinking about where he comes from or where she comes from, but is thinking about Nigeria, the interest of Nigerians, developing Nigeria from south to north, north to east and west. It's only in a place where people are all united, thinking, having one purpose, one mind, that you can share inheritance, that you can say, okay, now we have this diversity. Can we agree together and see if we can divide this thing? But if everybody has personal interest, how do you do it? So if the Constitution does not allow it, and let me tell you, a typical Northerner will always fight this, because by saying that, you are saying the oil is gone. So that's why they will always fight. And you need the fifth column. You will need if I'm from the north and I want to stop this whole thing about the idea of the Southeasterners going their separate ways, I would need to get people from the southeast to stop it. So it is not other Nigerians stopping it. It is Southeasterners that are stopping it because their own enemies are themselves. You go the same with the Yorubas. So wherever you go, it's still the same problem that we just need to fix the heart of Nigerians. And the heart of Nigerians are great. They are wonderful people. It's a few thieves that have held Nigeria hostage. If we can flush these people out, Nigeria will become more than Dubai, will become even more than America. So we are not lacking, whether from the north, south, east, and west, there are great people. But let's just get them to think, not their own personal interest, but think about building Nigeria, whether we call it whatever name. I am from Kaduna State, but I've been advocating for somebody from the southeast because I feel they are the only ones in Nigeria so far that have proved they can live anywhere, they can do business anywhere, destroy their shops, kill them, they will bounce back. Kill millions of them, they will go back and start from square one, and they are all over the world making it. Why can't, see the business, let's see Nigeria as a business estate that has been failing. And we've got people that are good with business, good with management. Why don't we try them for once? Why are we scared of the Igbos? So I think it's not just about letting them go or letting the Yorubas go. People are selfish. They want things for themselves. And until we deal with such people, we will just be wasting our time talking about let's go our separate ways. We will have accident and start fighting each other the moment we go our separate ways.
Thank you, Dr. Haruna.
I'll be back. Thank you so much.
All right. Righteous Man, you're next.
Yeah, all protocols are observed. Dr. Guru, I'm one of your fans. I follow you, and you're a good man. But I want to make these submissions. Number one, those who benefit in a failed state will never allow revolution to take place. And we never allow what will make that state to work. And I don't believe that prayer or praying to God will not bring a leader that will change this country. I don't believe in that. Again, I want to ask you this question, sir. What is the difference between the Bible Philistines and today Palestines? Then are you aware, being a good man from the north, that I saw how you campaigned vigorously for Peter Obi? Are you aware of the policy not to allow an Igbo man to be president of Nigeria? Have you ever heard of it, or have you somehow come across that documentation that no Igbo man should be allowed to rule Nigeria? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Righteous Man.
For me, I don't need. Thank you. I don't need to see a document. It's you can see it everywhere. The whole attitude. The people have decided don't have any. See, we were raised, indoctrinated as Northerners to believe it's a North versus South, but some of us were just blinded because the whole system in the North, especially the far North, is keep people ignorant. By so doing, use their ignorance as an instrument, as a weapon of policing them, of enslaving them, and keep them captive forever. So the document, whether the document is active or not active, the greatest document is in the mind. Indoctrinate somebody from childhood to believe this in Yamiri, they want to take over Nigeria. We will not have oil in the North. They are wicked. These people are going to destroy the North, destroy Nigeria. So don't ever allow them. But I'm happy that, there's something, you become liberated when you are educated. So people like myself, we're from the far North, but I am not so daft or naive to think like that. That's why I can talk the way I'm talking from the North. Some of my people from the North have almost like disowned me because of my belief and my stand and the things I stand, represent, and talk. But I will never stop, because you can fight against the truth, but you can never deny the truth. So for me, I would say Nigerians, well-meaning Nigerians that have not allowed themselves be indoctrinated or been deceived, hypnotized by these few evil elites or cabals that have held Nigeria hostage. If we can tell ourselves as Nigerians, forget our tribe, forget our religion, forget which part of the nation we come from, and fight for one common vision. Only I believe Nigerians are the ones that will free Nigeria. It's not in anybody waiting for a politician. Let's even say people like Obi. How many times can he do? Just 8 years. But problem of Nigeria has gone far beyond 8 years. So to fix it needs a change in the minds of Nigerians, a resolve to say enough is enough. We're not taking this nonsense. We're not waiting for politicians. The revolution that in my song that I talked about is a revolution where every Nigerian rises up. I know, maybe later I understand Shore is coming in with the planned protest, but I've seen that fear is the reason why Nigerians are not standing. Because how many are the people that are in politics? They are few. Nigerians are millions. Why should few people hold the whole nation hostage? People that are afraid of dying, they will actually die faster.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Henry. Henry, you're next.
Yeah, good evening, all. Good evening, Dr. Haruna. What I wanted to say, like in the northern part, I mean, the northern have been ruling for many years. No southerner complain or the easterner complain about not ruling for many years. Why is it when it comes to this tax reform, they are crying wolf wolf? Why? Because the same northerners, they don't allow people who sell alcohol in their state, but they forgot in the north they have other tribes too, other religions there too. They forgot that they destroy their business, then they don't allow to drink alcohol. But when the taxpayer from other country, other states come into the government central account and government give the allocation from this same taxpayers' money, but they take it. So why? What is the reason why they crying this? They are targeting the north, but they forgot they will be ruling for many years. Why they could not achieve what the plan they have from themselves? From my view, I don't think the northern part they have plan for their citizens, because I see no reason why they'll be ruling for many years. The children are not going to school, beggars. Imagine everywhere in the northern part of the poverty is higher in the north more than other states. What are they doing to stop this poverty, this begging habit from the north? So they should stop blaming. They are targeting the north. You know, it's so alarming when they cry wolf wolf. They cry as a victim. I hate people, other states, other region crying as a victim. This task, I believe, it's going to favor other people too. But they should try to see if it's going to favor them too. Not saying they are targeting the northern part. What are they going to do to change the narrative of the north? Because the north they have been ruling for many years. They've not done it to the people. What is the plan for the northern people?
All right. Thank you, Henry.
Okay, thank you, Henry, for your question and contribution. I think as a northerner, even though I know that somebody like El Rufai, every time he's in something, he may come in and look like he's with you, but he has his plan ahead. That as a backdrop. However, I would say, just taking from the surface whatever he said, looking at those statements, that's what some of us have been crying out, that stop this quota system, stop this thing of lowering the rules of the game, or what needs to be done to attain for somebody to go forward. And that's what has kept the northerners the way where they are. You see, you must understand how the north operates, especially the northern elites. Your greatness is seen in how many people you have paying homage to you. How many people are ignorant of what you know? How many people depend on you? And that's why I'm not so excited about political parties or nations that believe that they should be giving aid to other nations. And that's why Africa is where she is today, because we are depending on people giving us aid. And if you depend on handouts or depend on eating fish, never learning how to catch fish, you will always remain poor. So the northern elites, they need to impoverish these people, keep them poor, broke, ignorant. By so doing, they will continue. So the fight is not that every northerner is fighting. It's the same people that may think that their interest is going to be affected because the resources that they have been also stealing will not come to them. So I think that may be the reason. While some may have genuine reasons for why they are saying no, and I think I said this in some of my opening statements, that you see, before you withdraw something from somebody, it's important you empower them. The North, we used to produce cotton. We used to produce groundnut and some of those other things that brought revenue. But today, insecurity has taken over and people are unable to do that. The genuine ones that want to farm, they cannot farm. So before they go ahead and maybe put in something that will only benefit some people, whether from North or South, it's important to really study it so that it doesn't look like what Tinubu did when he came and removed fuel subsidy without having something prepared to cushion or help people. And at the end, it's still them that are benefiting. As we know, how many oil wells people like Tinubu, and we know about some of these things are public knowledge. So the concern should actually be Nigerians, whether from the north, south, east, and west. They should rise up and discuss how do we take our nation. That after talking on platforms like this, we should engage ourselves privately, because they follow us when we talk like this, and they mark out who are those people, like the word Dele Farotomi, like Dr. Haruna. And then they want to go after such people because they believe if they silence them, Nigerians will just talk on social media for a few days and go quiet. That's how, what is his name? The Nnamdi Kanu. He's still languishing in jail. And we know that Showore was there for long. Took a miracle for him to come out after 5 years. So it's a risky thing to do what people like us are doing. However, every Nigerian must have the same mind of saying there are poor people not only in the South. Not only in the North, but there are poor people in the South. And Southerners that are so-called rich, living good lives, they are living good lives on the suffering of poor Southerners. So it's still back to a heart disease that we need to, people that mean well for Nigeria need to connect now, whether they are from the South, North, East, or West, and let's fight against these people and flush them out because there are a few.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Haruna. Let's go to Janaba. You're next.
Dr. Rudy, thank you for having me. And Dr. Haruna, thank you so much.
Sorry, Rudolf. Can I just pick my power bank? Because this thing.
All right. All right. So he will join us. And Janaba, you can tell us some local stories from your village while we wait for him to join us.
Thank you for that.
Okay. He said, Janaba, don't go. All right. So go ahead with your question or comment.
Okay, once again, thank you, Dr. Rudy, for having me, and Dr. Haruna and fellow panelists. I sincerely respect the bias of Dr. Haruna on Israel and Palestine. I can understand that you're a pastor, but I know also for the past few years that you come to a public space that you have an open-minded for humanity instead of religion overtaking you, but I still respect that. The second one is also your view of Donald Trump coming that he will not have swamp around him while he's already having issue with his peak, with the Attorney General, the Defense Secretary, that is ongoing with the baggages already. So also that you can find excuse for him and you cannot find an excuse for other thing. I also respect your political stand on it, but then I believe that that is not going to, I don't think people in our age change, but we believe that the institution will be strong enough to hold him accountable. And another thing, thank you for all you do is just kind of statement for me to make, but I respect all your biases and your stand. You are a good man. Thank you.
Thank you very much for, you know, all of us, sometimes we don't say it, but everybody has a personal bias. So it's fine. I don't know if you live in America, but when I come, I'll try and see if we can visit. We can have go to what is it called? McDonald's, where Donald Trump went to drive the truck, so that we can have something to eat there together.
All right. Thank you, Janaba. Let's go to CM.
Okay, I don't know. Am I coming out clearly? Good evening, everybody.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, good evening. And thank you very much, Dr. Haruna Goroh. Thank you for being our guest. Obviously, I can say I've listened to you in more ways than one. You see, I think what I would like you to, a message I would like you to take home with you is this, because some of the things you said are just of, I just have to address it. Oh, he's not. His system logged him. Hello?
Yeah,
He's not.
for those watching,
He's muted.
CM is in UK. He's
Okay.
not in Nigeria, but his internet is.
Okay.
CM, we can hear you.
Okay, let me. Okay, you can hear me. Yeah. So Haruna Goroh, I want to give you some message to take home. There are some misconceptions you are having. Obviously, as an educated man, you must have come across a book called The Wretched of the Earth, written by Franz Fanon. He said that it is the duty of every generation, out of relative obscurity, to discover whatever it is their mission is, either to betray it or to fulfill it. The present generation of Ndibo, you are having a misconception. There is nothing like when Ndibo become Biafra, 2 or 3 years they fight against themselves. That is a Nigerian cheap blackmail. You know, that is propaganda Nigeria is carrying. Do you understand that? So that's one. Secondly, I want you to know this. Yes, the Igbos fought Biafran war and lost. What gave rise to Biafran war then is not what the present generation are relying on. I would like you, Haruna Goroh, to take a trip down the southeast. Or before you do that, our Senator Eni Naya Baribe, from Kaduna to Abuja is about 120 kilometers. From Enugu to Onitsha is the same distance. From Kaduna to Abuja, there is no checkpoint. From Enugu to Onitsha, 60 checkpoints, 60. At each one, you must give out money or you are shot dead, point blank. The present generation of Ndibo, we don't want that anymore. We manufacture electric cars. Do you understand that? We are highly educated. So we don't want that. That is the issue. This issue of Nigeria, you are painting it, oh, if we become together. We know. Nigeria, let me give you this. Nigeria is the only country colonized by Britain, joined together, that is still like that. Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania were once called Protectorate of East Africa. One country. They said no. India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, they went their separate way. Look at where India is today. People want to leave, not because they hate anybody. We want to go and compete with the Israelis in technology, India in professionalism, Chinese in business. That's why we want to leave, not because we hate anybody. You are free to come. Allen Onyema used his APs to carry Nigerians free of charge from China, from South Africa, from Sudan. We are liberal. We want to leave, not because we hate anybody. Nigeria is suffocating us. Our ingenuity, the world doesn't know. We want to show the world what we can do. If we're under Nigeria, we cannot do anything. We cannot. Not because we hate. Please, We want to be on our own so that the world will hear us. You say you will be proud that yes, there's a black country doing well. You can come down and live with us. But to be in Nigeria with the way it is now, that is what Mr. James was saying. So this idea of coming to preach unity, black unity, all this, look at what you were indoctrinated with when you are growing up. Now, the final take home is this. Anyamiri Igbo man must not do Nigeria, but they want Igbo man to be part of Nigeria. As a Christian, is that fair? That is the, even if you don't know about what was the memo in Aso Rock that Igbo man will never be president of Nigeria, I concede you do not know about that. But from your this thing, you are indoctrinated that Igbo man cannot rule Nigeria. But they want Igbo man by force, we must be part of Nigeria. I mean, even God in heaven can't tolerate that. So Igbo want to leave. Take it home to your people. Tell them that these people, they made up this a different generation. 50 years, most of them are 20. These are people you give, if you allow them, at the age of 10, you set the highest cutoff mark for federal government college for them. They will be struggling. 14 years later, they become 24 years. When they raise flag, you say they don't know why they raise flag. What must we be part of Nigeria? We don't want to. Even if we leave and 2 years we are killing ourselves, that is better for us so that Nigeria will have their peace. That's what we are saying. You cannot, because Eritrea left Ethiopia. If they are dying, who cares to know? They have taken their freedom. Bangladesh left India. Who cares? Pakistan, the other on their own. We want to be on our own. We not because we hate anybody. So Nigeria should stop all this idea of trying to, brainwash people and then scaremongering. If you're on your own, you will kill. People won't kill themselves. The people that are manufacturing electric cars in Inewi and the Enugu, they won't kill themselves. The next thing for us to do, we want to start going to the moon. It's an ambition, and we realize it only when we are on our own. So that's why we want to leave, not because we hate anybody. We are tired of Nigeria. If my father could be subjected to inhuman treatment, and my humble self, his son, subjected to inhuman treatment, my children will face the same thing. Go and see the under bondage in Nigeria. We want to get out. We want to get out and fulfill our manifest destiny, not because we hate anybody. That's what we are saying. So please take this message to them. We are not interested. If there's a move now to tell Obi not to stop contesting, we don't need it. Let the power rotate between Yoruba and Fulani. Let Ndibo go their way. Who cares? Please, thank you.
All right, thank you, CM. Dr. Haruna.
Okay, thank you, CM. Thank you for expressing your deep, heartfelt feelings, especially responding to what I've said. Nobody sent me to say what I'm saying. I was indoctrinated when I was a child, and you don't choose where you're born, and whether you're born in poverty or you're born, under whatever circumstance. However, when God gives you an opportunity to be enlightened, as little as I was privileged to have, it helped to bring my mind open that I could now think independently, independent of the indoctrination. And I'm not speaking based on a group, what a group feels. This is a personal conviction that has costed me a lot from even the people from the north, because I spoke completely the opposite of what many people believe, or we were made to believe. This idea of Inyamiri will never rule was not based on the idea that they meant well for us. These are the only people we are not prepared to compete with. These are the only people that will take away the power that we have to be in control and to continue to rule over the people against their own wish. And as we said, why is it that there are somebody rightly said here, all the poor people, the Almajiris, even when Jonathan came up with the idea of Almajiri schools, we know how he was resisted, because those people need to keep their people poor. And the God we are speaking about here, God is concerned about all, including Palestine, including Northerners, including Southerners. So God cares about all, but human beings that have a heart that is evil and wicked, when they don't fear God, they don't think about fellow human beings if it's not just themselves. So we have bad people in the north, bad people in the west, bad people in the middle belt, and even bad people in the southeast. So the issue is a hard thing. I'm not saying that there are times, even in some of my broadcasts, I've spoken about Nigeria should let the Southeasterners go. If they're not prepared, they shouldn't come with the hypocrisy of saying one Nigeria, but somebody else is treated as if it must remain a servant, a slave forever, enslaving people. So I am not for that. I stand against that, and I will never support it. But the only thing I'm talking about, I'm saying, even if the North were to go together, and we've got people in the North that are selfish, they are not thinking about the others. All they think is themselves. So that's the part I was bringing, not because Yorubas are also asking to go their separate ways. And then the middle belt now are suffering even more than the Igbos. The Igbos are able to thrive and do things. But you go to the middle belt now, they've been caged. Now they have no say. They are being killed like flies. And they are the ones that are actually the current culprits, the ones that are suffering it even more than what you would say the Igbos are suffering. Because the Igbos are still able to use their brains and think and do things. The environment, even though there is insecurity, when did it actually start going to the southeast? It's always been a northern thing and it's a few people that are oppressing the north, using the insecurity. So they are heading towards the south now because they need to finish the work of Usman Danfodio. So I think if we can see it that way, I mean, there are Igbos that are against the agitation, that are saying no, they don't want to go. Maybe they're the brainwashed ones. So, but I cannot talk because I'm not from the southeast. I was just a Nigerian who is educated enough, has lived long enough in Nigeria. I am in February next year, I'll be turning 69 years old. So I'm not a baby. I've seen the Nigeria that I lived when I was a little kid growing up and the Nigeria of now. Things have changed. However, going forward, if we don't have people that will start shifting their mindset and start thinking the welfare of other fellow human beings, no matter which part of Nigeria they come from. I only said that to say that, you see, when you're dealing with the heart of man, an Igbo man may be working against another fellow Igbo man when he wants to stay in power by force, even in this current regime. So if going their separate ways and it works, and that's the plan of God, and that's what they desire, I am up for it. But just ask yourself, when the Igbos go, what happens to that person that is locked somewhere in Kafanchan in southern Kaduna? Because these people are not just looking to kill them, they are only the ones standing in the way to going to the south to kill and take over. Their agenda is to take over the whole of Nigeria. So I am not one of them that is thinking that. I am just standing to speak against whatever people have as an agenda that works against another fellow human being, especially if they claim that Nigeria should be one, then they should show it by their action. That's basically what I'm saying. I have no message to take to anyone because I'm not representing anyone.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Haruna. And thank you, CM. Let's go to half of Turkey is in Europe. You're next.
Thank you. Hello, Rudolf. Good day, Dr. Goroh. Dr. Goroh, due to the statements of one of the commentators, I went to do a quick check on your background, and I see that you are a northerner from the Kaduna area. Also, I noticed that you are a Christian preacher. That leads me to the two quick questions I would like to present to you. One, instead of the current Muslim ticket, which we currently have at the helm of affairs in Nigeria, and which you have complained about several times on the show, would you have been opposed to it if instead we had a Christian ticket? And if you were going to be opposed to it, regardless of faith, I would love if you would elaborate to us why? Secondly, Rudolph asked you a question, and you didn't seem to skirt around it. You actually did skirt around it, which John Abba alluded to. And when you did answer it, you apportioned blame to the Palestinians for lobbing rocks towards Israel in response to their being held in an open air prison that is Gaza. So, in reference to the question Rudolph asked you, and based on the recent comments and pronouncements by the Pope and the indictment of Israel by the ICC, do you think Israel's actions on the Palestinians after October 7th, which has left over 50,000 women and children dead, amounts to genocide?
Yeah, thank you for bringing us back to that. You see, as I said, each of us here have a personal, conviction on different matters, and it's relative. It could be connected to a lot of things. I've been a victim of attacks that relate to what we're talking about, and I don't want to go into detail. But you may notice that my left eye is not like my right eye. And that is from terrorists. And it was based on religion. So people that believe that to serve their God, somebody else must be taken out. I have a question with that. My mom, my sisters, and most of my family, some of my family, are Muslim. So it's not a thing of, maybe I'm in this religion. I chose this faith because I saw too much and I had too many questions and doubts as to why should I serve a God that believes taking others out is what will earn me a passage to heaven. And this is a personal conviction, and because this is an open platform, I'm a little bit careful. And if those of you that have been watching my broadcast for the past 2 or 3 years now, you never had me mention once that I was a pastor, no use the name of Jesus, no use church, not once. Because our problem sometimes in Nigeria, actually most of the time, has been created by religion. And I try to avoid it because people use it as a cover up for personal gain. And I try my best to avoid it. Even today, I almost didn't respond to the question of Israel and what's going on, Palestine, or all those issues. So I think I would try. I wouldn't want to go further on that. However, all I know is that the God that I know is not interested in the death of any sinner, and that it doesn't matter whether you're a Muslim, you're a Christian, an animist, doesn't matter. He created human beings and he cares about them, and he doesn't like the death of anyone. So whether it's perpetrated by Israel, whether it's done by the Palestine or whosoever, God is a God of peace, and he wants it for all. And I'm an advocate for peace.
And the second question about the Muslim ticket, if it was a Christian ticket.
Yeah. Okay. Looking at Nigeria being a nation that is diverse with different, we already have we are divided along religion, divided along so many issues that divide us. Anybody coming with a thing that will be divisive is not advisable. That's why I stood against it. However, you can have a Christian ticket because, see, we've got thieves, corrupt Christians, even pastors that are stealing people's money, prophesying, lying to people using the name of the Lord. So I'm a pastor, but I don't believe in that. So I wouldn't support Christian because we are a nation that is almost half Christian, half Muslim. We already have so many fights. Why would I go and wake up a sleeping lion? I know lions are looking for flesh to devour, and especially when you talk about Muslim, Christians are more tolerant because I come from this background of Islam. You either take it or the sword goes for you. So even the militant nature in which the whole religion runs. It's obvious. That's why people always want to, play nice with them, be calm, understand with them. But when it comes to Christians, they talk to Christians anyhow, treat Christians anyhow. That's why Tinubu knew that going the Muslim ticket was the only safe passage, because Christians will not fight. They will not go, they'll hit me on this cheek, I will turn the other side. But Muslim, you touch me, you pass near me, you dress funny passing near me, you bring alcohol where I am, you come and talk down on the Quran, you talk down on my religion, I'll kill you, I'll take your neck off. But somebody can curse Jesus, call him a bastard, and Christians will just pray for him. This person doesn't know what he's doing, he's blaspheming, but they will not kill. But so when it comes to this thing of Muslim or Christian, see, the thing is, this person, does he care about Nigerians? Will the person serve the nation? Whether it's a Muslim or Christian, because there are Muslims in the South, there are Christians in the South, there are Christians in the North, and Muslims like I said, my own family, we are from both. So now somebody coming and dividing us using religion is not possible. Because my sister is a Muslim, fanatical one. And I've got relatives that will kill for Allah. So, but my concern is not religion. Nigeria needs to be free from a few charlatans that have robbed Nigeria. They've held Nigeria hostage. Most of them are from Nigeria, northern Nigeria, but they've succeeded in recruiting greedy Southerners that are working on the same team with them.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Haruna. Before I go to Jagun, let me take a question from the comments section. So there's a question here. I don't know the way it was framed. It says, why not advocate for ethnic Hausas too? What I want you to talk about, Dr. Haruna, is we hear these stories that northern minorities who might be Muslims, for example, the Hausa people in the north, that they are also not happy about the structure in the north, where you have the Fulani in charge, controlling most of the structures of power. What is going on? What don't we see? People who are in the south looking up at what's going on in the north.
Okay. I think what people don't know, before many years ago, anytime I went to the south and people hear me speaking Hausa, because you don't hear people speaking Fulani as much as you hear them speak Hausa. So Hausa is the general language, just like Pidgin is spoken in the south. So a lot of people kind of just put everybody in the same box and just see them. But the ones that the Hausas are having an issue, you ask yourself, why should people be killed in villages in Sokoto? Why should people be killed in Kebbi? Why should they be killed in Adamawa? Why? Because they are northerners. We thought they should just go after the southerners. But the issue is about when a certain tribal group believes that they are the true owners, or they should be the true owners of Nigeria, and every other person should be slaves to them. So religion then is just used, but it's not really religion, it's the tribe, which is, I would say, without fear of somebody thinking I'm contradicting myself, we've seen this problem more with the Fulanis. The Fulani elites believe that Nigeria belongs to them. And so the ones that were the indigenes that they met, that they conquered, were the Hausas. So they kept them as slaves or servants under them to pay homage to them. Because even when a Hausa man is a Muslim, he's not seen as a real Muslim. Just like if somebody is from the South and is converts to Islam, they are seen as if maybe they're going to a different heaven. That's if they will make it. So it's the difference is it's so clear in the North that we Northerners, initially some of us didn't know because they played the game of North versus South. Then now, with knowledge, interaction with people around the world, so some of us are now enlightened and we're realizing that not anymore. So with the current killings going on in the North, the ones that are suffering more are even the Hausas. So that's why now there's an outcry where they're saying they want their freedom. So this thing is beyond just, maybe South now versus North, because they are cleaning out the North on their journey to the South. And the ones that have stood in their way were Hausas, then people from the Middle Belt.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Haruna. Let's go to Jago.
Thank you. Good evening from here in London. Rudolf, I would like to make a general complaint, but I'm not going to go far. I really feel strongly that there are levels of unfairness that keep coming up from the management. I was on here, online, showing my side to
Jagun, we
say
said
that you could do something and then take me out of my...
We said here, and I think we reinforced it, that when we are having a program, we concentrate on the program. If you have any complaints, you know how to reach us. We're not going to stop our program to hear people complain about whatever is happening outside of this place. All right, let me go to all the politics. Ovie, you're next.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Doctor, for giving your giving us your attention, your insight. I must say, I appreciate your balanced view of your take on American politics at the earlier stage of the conversation, and that was very mesmerizing listening to you talking about what actually transpired getting Donald Trump into office. My question is centered around our own election, INEC. You seems to be in a position to be calling for the INEC, current INEC chairman removal. And if memory serves me right, since the inception of this Fourth Republic, the first INEC chairman we had was given to us by Abdul Salam Abubakar, by a man by the name Eperam Akpata, who contested in 1999 election that was widely criticized by the international community. But unfortunately, the man passed the following year, in 2000, which gave way to Abel Gobedia, who contested the 2020 election and died. Actually, even worse than the 1999 election. Again, Gobedia living gave way to Maurice Iwu, brought by Obasanjo. This time around, conducted the 2027 election, even with the president that was elected with that election, the name of Yaradowa, came out publicly to say the election was nothing to run home about. After Imoris, we have Mahmoud Yakub, who eventually collided with the power that be again. He gave us the election that took good luck out. From there, we have the one that we have now. My point is that it's just from fire to fire. Nothing has changed. But the fact that we are still calling for this to go, which the Constitution gives leverage to the president to appoint, I mean, to see that is even the conversation is beyond me. So I don't know. That's not going to change anything, going by the history so far. So why the focus on the man rather than the process that brings the chairman?
Okay, thank you. You see, why people are saying Mahmoud Yakubu was that he was the immediate one that Emil Okon, traded with to bring about the suffering now. So that's why people are referring to him. However, people like us feel like there should be a national discourse. What should be the guidelines or the criteria for choosing anybody that will run an independent election? I know generally it's difficult to have 100% with people with no special interest. You see special interest in the UK, you see special interest in America. That's basically the general make of human beings. Only God's system is perfect. So if they were able to get that to change, then that would be the ideal. However, anytime you have a party that is in government or a sitting president, they always leverage the loopholes that are there for their next plan. Like for 2027, they're already planning because they're still the one that will choose. But in this system, sometimes they can choose somebody that they think is going to play on their side, but by maybe God's providence or something, maybe by some special hand of God, somebody that they chose thinking it was work for them turns out, and then God touches him or her that refuses to take the bribe, and then decides, you know what, I am going to stand for the people. And such miracles do happen. So if God could bring Israel out from Egypt and use a Moses, then maybe our Moses is coming. I don't know how it will happen, but we still live in the life where miracles do happen. So the God that saved Donald Trump from the bullet when he just turned, so maybe our God is going to save us from the bullet of Emiloko and his people.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's go to Jagun.
Thank you. Dr. Haruna, I'm extremely pleased to meet you. I would like to take on what our fellow panelist, Pansat, exalted you to in the means of respect of who you are. I've got a question, but I would like firstly to make comments. Firstly, I've got to congratulate you on that song. I really have to. The song underlining revolution, which is a word that seems to have really confused Nigerians. I've got to congratulate you on the song in that you used a reggae genre to push your message forward. Reggae music, I'm from London. I've grown up amongst Jamaicans. I understand the rudiments of reggae music very, very deeply. And you used it in a very correct valve. And I see that your intelligence is more than your face. That what you are showing us and what Pansat underlined as the deep respect that we have for such an individual as yourself follows the respect that we've grown to for Dele Farotimi. Now, what's interesting, the question I would like to put to you, when I look around the Nigerian polity and people that stand up for the truth, they are few and far between. I would also like to make comment of the way you've handled every question here. I think you've answered them extremely well. Some questions were a bit pointed, but still you handled it. I really applaud the way you've dealt with most of the people on the panel here, very fairly. I would like just to ask you, when it seems in the Nigerian polity, the way unfairness seems to be the order of the day, with any Nigerian group, when there's a Nigerian group, there's unfairness. There's an unbalanced way of putting things into the societal understandings of the way forward. So when people like Nnamdi Kanu are arrested unfairly in another man's land, arrested in another man's land, when people like Dele Farotimi are taken from Lagos to another state completely, when people like you are now next in line, is it not incumbent on every individual here to call their father's name and to be ready to stand up in place of those people who are taken out? Because what I find that is spoiling that country called Nigeria is there are weak people who are not ready to stand up. They're all right to do this, talk a lot of nonsense. However, when it comes time to stand up and be a man, we don't do it. And that is the issue of Nigeria. The percentage of those who are oppressing Nigeria is minimal to the percentage of those great swathes of individuals who are just weak, uneducated, rather ignorant, and can't stand for themselves. People take oppression. People are happy to be oppressed in that country called Nigeria. So I'd like to put to you, when people who are speaking the truth are taken away from the polity, is it not incumbent upon those of us to stand in line for those who are taken out unfairly? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is it? I'm trying to pick it.
Jagu, my marimo.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, bro.
You know, I love your beard. I wish I can grow that, you know.
I will say this to you, sir. Muslim don't own beard. I not be Muslim. I'm not a Christian either, but I'm a follower of Christ, if you understand me.
Yeah.
To be slapped on one side, I would offer the other side though, but know that my slap is coming. No, I'm coming with my own slap. Okay. Understand me well.
I think you and I will gel together because I'm also the type that also kind of believe that I think the way sometimes we interpret scripture is the reason why people are keeping us under. You know, because Jesus was a revolutionary.
Simple.
Moses had to stand and face Pharaoh. That was the most dangerous thing to have done. We have people that are only waiting for somebody to suffer for them to come and enjoy. You know, and that's why you see, I made calls. First of all, I told people the night that this election was of 2023 was announced, every Nigerian should have been out on the street, but they waited. So again, and without blaming Obi, because that's his personality, and we can do nothing about it. Do you know? Even though this man is a Muslim, what's his name? Dirty. But Dirty's temperament would have collected that mandate because he was a fighter, but still a Fulani fighter with agendas. But Obi said he believed in the rule of law, and he didn't know the Nigeria he's dealing with is not Anambra. So, and when we have people that bury their heads under the sand, believing a system that we know is already a failed system, that it will give them justice. Meanwhile, the system is a corrupt system, which Dele has been talking about because he's a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but Dele, when he speaks as an authority in that field. So guilty people are the ones that are afraid. So they went after him. But because the others are like zombies, the world has more zombies than people who are ready to stand. That's why anytime there is freedom of a people, there's got to be the sacrifice of a few. The few that will take a stand, because the masses only just follow like sheep to the slaughter. But they need a spokesperson. And even going forward in Nigeria, I believe Nigeria needs people like Dele Faro to me, like Aisha, like myself, like some of you that are this panel, that are fearless. But you see, you can't birth a new Nigeria if you're not a dead person. But Nigerians are struggling for survival. And anybody that's struggling for survival, that's everything revolves around me. I don't want to die. Don't kill me. I'm not going out on a protest. They will kill me. But if you're a dead man, you're coming to face the gun. The man that you're afraid of is afraid of you. They arrested him because they are scared of him. The only way they think they can do is to silence his voice, but they gave him a bigger voice now. So I would say the time is coming. If we keep talking and we don't stop, one day we hit hard, the world is going to break. We never knew Nigerians would come out the way they did for the mass thing we saw. First of all, with the end SARS. And then the follow-up was what happened before the elections. So we've never seen that kind of mobilization. But I believe there is another stage that is going to go beyond that. Because when somebody is sitting down and his whole family, everybody is dead, wife and children killed, nothing left, and this person is the only survivor, even if he was a coward, something in him will rise to roar back and say, before I'm taken out, let me kill as many as I can. So I believe the time is coming that even if we have some of our brothers and sisters that say it doesn't matter at what time this change comes, or it may never come, they are just saying, as Sam says rightly, that they are just tired. You know, if we keep beating you, we can't say don't cry or don't complain that can I now go? I've enough I'm bleeding enough. Can I go? So I think it will come to a moment where others will say, I'm not going. I've suffered enough for this nation. I will not let, because your desire was to beat me so much until I have no voice, no energy again to fight back, and then I'll leave you alone to take over easy. So they are actually wanting to push everybody to that point where they surrender to them, because that was the agenda all along. So, but now, if some of us are saying, I'm a northerner, yes, I can benefit as an educated person from the evil system, but I'm human enough. I have feelings for humanity, and I'm not going to think about my own interests, bury my head in the sand just to benefit myself while people are dying around me. I always say this: you are a very poor man that call yourself rich if everybody around you is poor. You are the poorest among the poor. When you think you are rich, but your riches cannot reach others that are in need. So all these people that are, calling themselves rich people while everybody around them is poor, they are the problem we have in Nigeria. And it's going to take, you see, you can fight an individual, but you can't fight a crowd. When a crowd comes, that's how you see how they overtake and go and overtake and chase the president out of the nation, because the whole people got up. Who are you going to kill? How many? The army are few, the police are few, and they have relatives that are suffering. So let Nigerians, I have been calling for a revolution. But as you said, when people hear it, they are scared. They think, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Every revolution, somebody has to die. If we're not prepared to die, then how will we live? Jesus died for us to live.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Haruna. We have two more questions, one from KJ, and we'll give the oldest man on the platform, Pansat, another chance for one more question, and then we take a break. We are still trying to reach Shore. He's currently at an event, so we'll let you guys know when he will join us. All right, KJ.
Okay,
Am I
thank
not
you so
Rasta
much.
enough to get a second chance? Now reggae music with the sing now. I'm not reggae enough to get a second.
Thank you so much, Dr. Damages, for giving me the opportunity to, meet with Dr. Haruna, whom I followed his, presentations and all that. In fact, I followed him for years, right from Abuja. And I've been very satisfied with all that you've been doing. We obviously, as another human being, there are areas we may not agree, which is that, I'm one person who believes that Nigeria has come to the point where we just have to sit down and ask ourselves whether we want to build a nation or want to go our separate ways. And yes, and I thank you again, Dr. Haruna, for coming, because some of the policies which you have laid down here, I've talked about that, haven't grown up in the North. And people, certain individuals have opposed me so vehemently, but it's good now they're hearing it from the horse's mouth, and they can see that politics that have always been played all the while in the North, even against the core Hausa people. I just want to appreciate you for coming, and I thank you. And I ask also that you take care of yourself, because Nigeria is not a place where you say those things and just walk anyhow. Make sure you are not outside in the night. Make sure you are walking when people are seeing you. God bless you and keep you. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, KJ. Let's go to Pansat for the last question. Or maybe I'll take one from the comments after him. Yeah, go ahead, Pansat.
Thank you very much. And it's been a fascinating show. We didn't expect anything less. Now, I would like to say the following, not directed at you, Dr. Haruna Goroh. In the Nigerian psyche is one that's operating from the aphorism that might is right, right? A lot of people, they believe that those who hold power are the origin of morality in Nigeria. A lot of ignorant Nigerians, for example, if the government is dealing with Showere, they believe that the government holds the morality. They're dealing with Delefaro to me, they're dealing with Nnamdi Kanu, anybody. They believe that anybody who speaks against a Nigerian government their patriotism should be questioned, and a lot of people do that, especially a lot of minorities do that, right? And I know you're a minority from the north. What I want to say, because we don't have a lot of time, is to say we in the Southeast, as much as we appreciate people like yourself who are good-hearted, trying to do the right thing, have ambitions for us to have a polity, a unity, but our future is not going to be dependent on that. I want to make a couple of things clear. Number one, the last time the Southeasterners fought in that war, genocidal war against Biafra, we were actually fighting Britain, Russia, people who have interest in the oil in Port Harcourt and some other areas that they discovered oil. And they wanted to do everything to make sure Biafra did not emerge. Biafra would have taken over that country. We had the power, the courage. We took Henry Gabriel's place in a couple of hours with 2 battalions. But anyway, so I'm trying to say to those who are listening here, who see us being protected by you, you're saying the right thing. You're saying to Southeasterners, they should also be president. There are those of us who are to the right of Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa. We're in the 3rd tier, because there's a 1st tier that says, hey, Peter Obi comes, let's be one country, it's better, let's go to elections, we'll do the right thing. It's not that all we need are leaders. All right. I say to him, it's wrong, he cannot do it, but go ahead, try. It's better if you can do it. The 2nd tier is Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa. They say, hey, look, give us some kind of plebiscite. We want to go to the polls and say we want to exit. And if you succeed, then you go your way, we go our way. That's another 2nd tier. I'm to the right of those people. I don't agree. I don't believe that's going to work. And that's not necessary. I'm of the 3rd tier, but I'm saying to them, go ahead and try that. I'm saying that we brought independence to the country. We don't have to go anywhere. We need to take over the country. We can. We'll go to school. We have ability to tame the neutrino, split the atom if we want to. So I'm saying that we don't have to go anywhere. People came into our country, Northern Fulanese, and came and effeminated our fellow countrymen, the Hausas, right? Rendered them ineffectual, had their nose cut off. So what I'm saying to you is that it's actually you who have to join us, good Northerners, reasonable Northerners. When all this fell, we're going to come and we're going to take the country, right? Just like Israel is doing. They were gone in their case for thousands of years. They came back and you're on their side, right? So am I. I disagree with the genocide, but if might is right, especially in the psyche of a lot of people here, like Henry Gabriel here, and some other Christians, people from the South, Yorubas, they believe that might is right. That those people set the morality because they have the power. If let's say the Fulanis can defeat us, now only an imbecile would think that Fulanis can defeat us from the Southeast. It's impossible. Now the problem is that we have a lot of people who are sitting on the fence. They don't want to. Rudolf, I'm sorry. It's just too tempting to. But I concluded by saying this: I don't come for war right now. I've come to say, give those who say, let's go and get plebiscite, or those who say we want to go to election. But we went to an election and we voted. We spent 400 billion naira to do that, and Northern Muslims shut off the machine, and they say, do your worst. So there's nothing that's going to change about that. We could be here, talk nice and be nice, and I have a lot of respect for you, and I've, like I said earlier. But what I'm saying is that they're not going to change anything. We're going to have to make them. We're going to have to force them. Right? They're weaker than we are.
All
we
right.
could take them on. We could defeat them in a war. So that's what I'm saying. If you would join us, because you're not free. I'm worried about your safety, for example. Like you said, your eyes. I was tearing up when you were talking here because we could see it. We could see it.
All right.
So
Thank you.
I will end with that, and I'll see you again. I would actually try to make contact. Thank you, sir. Rudolf, thanks for indulging me. Appreciate it.
All right. Dr. Haruna, any comments on
Thank you, Pansat, for your comments. And regarding, for me, I'm doing everything in my power to see myself as a Nigerian, whether it was a fake arrangement that they forced us together. Somehow I've come to know you people on this panel, and I see you as my brother, whether you are from the Southeast or Southwest or Middle Belt. Somehow, wherever Nigerians are, no matter where they are, there's just something about Nigerians that they are great people. It doesn't matter which part. But why these days I kind of highlight the Igbos or the Southeast is because of what I've seen. They are resilient. They've gone through a lot. I mean, I've seen firsthand in Kano what happened to them. What happened to them in Zaria. I was a lecturer in Zaria City. That's part of the hardcore thing where such things happen. So, and I've seen how people will bounce back. They get persecuted and they bounce back. So they are an asset to Nigeria, not only Northerners, to the whole nation. So, but because we've got these few people that have a personal agenda, not a Nigerian agenda. So they are the ones that have held the nation hostage. So let's say we tell the Igbos to go, yes, it's fine. If that they allow that dialogue to happen, but the ones that don't even want any idea of such a dialogue are the ones that are benefiting. So that's why there was the war. We knew it was all injustice that led to the war. But who actually fought the war? Is it somebody from Sokoto? Is it somebody from Katsina? No. They used them. The so-called Nigerian army that died, most of them were not from the far north. But they used them to kill fellow Nigerians. But then when it came to ruling and governing, only during the war was Gowon there. Who else did you ever see that was allowed to govern? Even when there's a coup, it will be them. Even when you had somebody like Idiagbon, he was the main brain, but serving the interests of the northern generals, the hardcore northern. So there is an agenda that is not for Nigeria. Whether we say we are not Nigerians, whatever name we call ourselves, we, the indigenous that were there before these invaders came, they hate us. They want everybody wiped off. They have been wiping some of us in the north. That's why now they want to clear. The one that stood in between the distinct was now Benue. They wanted, if they can run down Benue, whoever knew, I used to tell people that the terrorists are going to the south. I used to tell them that very soon, Fulani headsmen will be in Enugu and some of those places. People almost cursed me out. They said they've done it in the north. They can never enter Igbo land. I said they have an agenda. They want Nigeria to belong to them. So if the Igbos are to go, are they going to Cameroon? Where are they going? Because they are after Igbo land too. And it's just those few people. So should we fold our hands and let them? Or we should unite as Nigerians? Whether we agree with whatever name we call ourselves, let's unite and say we know them, there are a few. We are going after them. But when everybody buries their head and say, let's japa, or if we don't japa, we will stay there, but let's just be concerned about our personal interest. Then it's a few people like Dele Faro to me. It's a few people like Nandi Kanu. It's maybe people like myself, people like Aisha that till today, Aisha has not accepted Tinubu to be our president. It's a miracle that she's alive. So we need more people like that that will stand. And yes, agitation is there, but I'm saying, and that's a right, but I'm saying in a place where others are benefiting, when will they ever allow it to happen? They are benefiting, so they will use another Igbo brother to frustrate the plan, to sabotage the plan. They need a fifth column to bring down the building. So, and people like myself are saying, you know what? Can I hold CM's hand? Can I hold Rudolf? Can I hold James? Can I hold Pansat? I don't even want to know which town you come from, what language. At least we can communicate in this foreign language. Can we talk? Are we like these people? Do we like what they are doing against human beings? Do we like the way they're wiping villages out in Plateau State? We don't like it. So what do we do? How many are they? Who are they? We know them. There are a few. We can team up together and chase them out. Then we can talk about how do we live. The ones that want, you know, there's no peace. You can't divide in and give people inheritance in a house that is on fire.
Dr. Haruna, one more question is from the comment section, and then we take a break. At that point, you can, I don't know how much time you have. If you want to leave, you can leave. We wait for Shore, who will join us as soon as he can. But the question is, for those who didn't start with us, we started with what's happening in the Middle East. It's been confirmed that Assad has left Syria and is on his way to Moscow on exile. So people wanted to know, we discussed that at the beginning, what you think about that development.
Sorry, look, can I give you an update? Because I was researching that what you are, going on. His plane just crashed.
What?
Yeah, Assad plane just crashed. So they don't know, but they believe. Reuters believe that he is inside, but some sources are saying he may not be inside. But right now, nobody knows where he is. That's the update from that.
All right. Thank you, KJ. The point is that his government has collapsed in Syria, and the people going in are known as Islamist fundamentalists. The question is, any opinion on what is developing there?
Yeah, you know that I'm trying to, especially because what I was invited for us to discuss are not around those things. So I don't want to say things that I may have a personal view or opinion that will set the whole, discussion and get it off tangent. So I would say I'm also just watching what's going on. I can't comment on that.
All right, that's fair enough. Thank you so much. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will review what we have discussed. Dr. Haruna, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you.
And thank you, Rudolf, for what you do. We're proud of you. Thank you for keeping the discourse alive so that people will know what's going on and be able to have, their say. Because we must not despise what is going on here. This is how revolutions come. This is how things change in nations. When people are, across different divides and from different nations, but as Nigerians, with the same interest of wanting to see things work, I believe at some point something is going to happen. So thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for giving ear to hear some of my naive or shallow ideas. But then pray for me; I'll do better next time.
Thank you so much. You've been wonderful. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.